What's going on, everybody? I'm Jiffy Nano, and today we're going to go over my updated level 65 bloodbound Amara build. So I am releasing this build first and very soon after the update because the 5 extra skill points aren't going to affect the build as much as other builds, and most of the skill trees are largely staying the same. This means most of the info I'll be going over in this video will also be the same as the last video I made on bloodbound Amara. So there are two ways that you could have gone with these skill points. You could go down the red tree and finish it off and get forceful expression, but I decided to go for some more, I guess you could say, quality of life skills instead. So here are the skill trees. The only things that really have changed is now we have 4 in Alacrity and 1 in From Rest. These two skills give us a huge boost in reload speed and a sizable boost in weapon charge time. Not necessarily a big damage boost, but it'll make everything feel and flow a little bit better. So the reason I love this build and why I'm able to get it out so quickly after level 65 is that you only really need one item, everything else is up to you. The only thing you need this build to actually work is the Phase Zerker class mod, and you don't even need a good one. This build is focused around consuming your rush stacks for do harm. The Phase Zerker will give you max rush stacks when you cast your action skill, then when you cast your action skill again, those stacks are consumed, turning into do harm stacks. So using Phase Grasp, more specifically Ties That Bind, you can fake grasp the ground, easily giving you 99 do harm stacks and making your Ties That Bind damage absolutely insane. For the rest of your gear, it's all really up to you. Almost any shield, grenade, or weapons will do just fine with this build at almost any mayhem level. But I will talk about some of my favorites and some of the standouts because there are a lot that you can use right now even without DLC. The Monarch and the Chaos Sun are both in base game and some of the best weapons in the game right now, along with the Hellwalker, which recently received an enormous buff of like 300% and is one of my favorite weapons to use in general since it's just so satisfying. If you do have the DLCs, the Flipper, the Beacon, Light Show, Anarchy, Insider, these are all great choices, just to name a handful. For shields and grenades, I like to use Old Gods for damage, and the It's Piss grenade also for damage. But you could also use the Transformer and use Shock Splash to replenish it, but personally I find that to not be as nearly as effective anymore since we all end up having to use Elemental ASE Anoints for more damage output. Speaking of anoints, the anoints you want to look out for are obviously things like 100% weapon damage ASE, next to mags right now is extremely strong, and even 200% while action skill is active is great while your grasp is active. But the strongest anoint for this is definitely 300 over 90. 300 over 90 applies to everything in the game: grenades, weapons, melee, and even action skills. So enemies linked by Ties That Bind will also be taking that 300% extra damage if they're over 90% HP. This, combined with the already absolutely ridiculous damage of Ties That Bind, means that you're probably going to be killing an entire room of enemies with a single shot. Okay, so mayhem modifiers. Most of the modifiers aren't too much of an issue. I would avoid the ones that make your enemies immune, especially to elemental damage. Elemental damage is a huge thing for Amara. Personally, I think the role I've been rocking with is Speed Demon, Healing Avenger, Laser Farer Ticked Off, and Post-Mortem. Since rerolling modifiers is kind of a pain, I would just try and avoid things like Dazed and Infused and the elemental immunity ones. You could also go for Buddy System or Roguelite instead of Postmortem, but personally I think Postmortem is the least annoying since there can only be 2 deaths out at any time, and they're pretty easy to kill. This build is incredibly strong and can solo everything in the game with relative ease: the takedowns, the Circle of Slaughter, everything. So now if you're on PC, my save file will be in my Discord, link in the description. It'll be full of all the decent gear I have for the build. Hopefully most of it will be 65 by the time I put this up, but we'll see. Console players, hopefully this build is easy enough to get it going for all of you since it's only one item that you really need. And yeah, if you found this video informative, a like rating is always appreciated, and consider subscribing and hitting that bell so you see my future uploads. Also, almost all of my builds are theory crafted and tested on my live stream, so if you want to take part in making these builds, check out my Twitch, link in the description. And if you want to support me and the content I make, you can check out my Patreon. We have lots of cool stuff over there, like exclusive sneak peeks to new videos, behind the scenes stuff, and more. So the link to that is also in the description. If you enjoyed the build, consider checking out my other builds on the playlist on the screen right now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.